Hey everyone, it's Jennifer. Thanks for stopping by. I know a lot of you are addicted to die cutting just like I am, and there seem to be more and more big and intricate dies coming out. So I thought I'd show you in this video two different ways to add color to dies that are like that are large and intricate like this one from Memory Box. Now there are lots of different ways you could do this, but these are two that I thought were fun and worked really well with this particular die. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the other card first, the blue one, and you can see I've layered up colors of cardstock to get a really colorful look. So this is the die that I'm using from Memory Box. It has this circle of tulips, and I just think it's beautiful. You could cut these up and get one tulip out. You can do whatever you want with these. Well, I went ahead and die cut a bunch from different colors of cardstock. And I'm starting with 5 of the die cuts that are cut from white. And I'm just using touches of glossy accent to layer them on top of each other so that I end up with a really thick die cut. So this was just cut with my Big Shot. You can use any die cut machine with these wafer thin dies like this one. And I just went through and cut a bunch from some scraps that I had. But I'm starting by gluing 5 of the white ones on top of each other so that it gets nice and sturdy and built up so that it's like kind of a standalone embellishment. So I just continue to do this until I have the 5 layered up, and then I'll add the color on top of that. So this is where those other colorful die cuts come into play. I'm going to take the darkest color one and cut the large tulips off of each. I'll take these and glue them onto the white one in their place, and this gives the color. You could do this with markers, which I'll show you in a little bit, but I really wanted that layered look. So I'm just using some glossy accents here to add these. You could use other kinds of adhesive, but glossy accents really hold strong. You don't need a lot, and it dries pretty quick. And I'll know that these layers will all stay on, and I don't have to worry about them falling off when I mail this card. So after I've done those, I'm going to take a green die cut and cut all the tulips off once again, but this time I'm going to use the center part. By the way, these cardstocks are all different ones. Some are from Simon Says Stamp and some are from My Favorite Things, and I'll link that below in the YouTube description and also on my blog. So now I'm going to take this green circle of leaves and stems and glue it onto the white. And now you can see the white peeking out the sides, which I think is fun, but then you see the color on top. Now Memory Box has this little die here that matches, these little tulips match the tulips on this circular die, which I thought was fantastic. So this is going to save me a lot of time. I can use the smaller parts of this to layer up. So I've cut this from some lighter teal colored cardstock, and I'll just glue these on. If you don't have this die that goes with it, you could just cut across and just have stripes of color cut from the bigger circle die that we have from before. But this little one was really inexpensive and a great way to make this layered look very quickly. I'm using a quick stick to pick up these small pieces and add them onto the die cut into the glue. It just is a great tool to have for small little die cuts. Now it's time to add some color to those leaves. You see those little pairs of leaves there that are different color. I'm just going to take a lighter green piece that I've cut, and I'm just going to cut out pairs of leaves from this. If you watch, I'm just trimming around 2 so that they're connected. I'm cutting the other leaves away and also the stem away. This just takes a few minutes, and I think it really adds a lot of interest to the leaves on the center of our final piece. You could do this color layering technique with other large dies, like say a doily. Just cut it from a bunch of different colors of cardstock, cut little loops out in different colors, and then glue them all together. And you can get a really cool multicolored image, and it really stands out in the card, so you don't have to spend any time doing anything else on the card. So now I wanted to add these little glitter pieces that stick out of the top of the tulips. I cut these little pieces with another die from Memory Box. It has all these cute little pieces that you can layer together. Now if you don't have this die, you could cut little strips of paper to have sticking out. Now I used some glitter paper from Die Cuts with a View, and I used like a yellowish green color. I thought that was nice to add just a little bit of shimmer from behind the flowers. Now again, if you don't have this little die, you could cut little V's, or say maybe you have a butterfly die, you could cut the antenna off for this, or you could just skip this part altogether. But I just thought it was fun to have a little bit something peeking out the back of the flowers. Now since this die cut is pretty heavy with all these layers of paper, I'm adding this to a note card that I made out of heavyweight cardstock. This is 110-pound cardstock from Nina. This is a newer cardstock that I'm just loving for my card bases. I'm just adding quite a bit of glossy accents here and there to the back of it so that I can be sure that this stays put when I put this through the mail. And you can see there's so much going on this large die cut that I don't need to do any other layering on the card. I can just leave it as is and add a greeting. Now I'm putting this block on here just as a little bit of heavy weight to make sure that it stays put while it dries. Now I've got a greeting here from My Favorite Things, just something that's kind of elegant. I'm stamping it with Versamark ink, and then I'm going to add some embossing powder. I'm using my new favorite embossing powder. It's called Liquid Platinum. It's from Ranger. It's a warm silver color, so it's like a champagne color. It's just beautiful, and I think it works with pretty much any style of card. You can go vintage, you could go like contemporary, anything you want with this color of embossing powder. And there we have the card. Now I felt like it needed something in the center. So you see that heart in the center? I wanted to show you a trick for this. Now I just grabbed a die cut heart that actually was laying on my floor, don't tell anybody, and I'm going to add that same embossing powder to it, and I wanted to show you how I did that. Since this is tiny and I can't hold it while I heat it up, I'm just temporarily adhering it to the end of a piece of scrap cardstock. I'm covering it with Versamark ink, just covering the heart with Versamark ink, and dipping it into the embossing powder. And then you can heat it with a heat gun, and now you have a heart, a die cut heart that matches the embossing that you did on the greeting. Now I wanted it to be super smooth, so while it's still hot, I'm going to dip it back into the embossing powder again. The reason I'm dipping is it's just faster than trying to put the heat gun down, pick up the powder, and pour more on, but you could pour it on if you'd prefer. Also, if you don't want to have to move super fast to put the hot embossing powder into more embossing powder, you could instead just put another layer of Versamark onto the first layer of embossing powder so that you can add a second layer. But basically, 2 layers of embossing powder on that die cut gives a nice smooth heart that matches your greeting. So now that we've finished this card where I showed you how you can layer cardstock colors together on an intricate die, I wanted to show you another way, and this is a lot faster. So if you don't have all those dies or you don't want to go through all the layering, you could instead add color with markers. Now I use Copic markers for this, but that's just because those are the kind that I have and I like to use, I'm most familiar with, but you could use watercolor, you could use regular markers, you can use anything that you want for this technique. I also wanted to show you how I took the die cut that just had color on it and made it really stand out and have some dimension by adding some shimmer and then some glossy accents on top. So here I have that same die cut. I cut it from white cardstock and layered it up 5 layers again like I did before, so it's nice and thick. And I'm going to go ahead and add color to it. Now I'm using Copics. There are lots of fun rules for Copics and how to best use them. I kind of threw those rules and best ways of using them out the window and just had fun coloring. I first added a red color to the base of the tulips. Now I'm going in with like an orangish yellow, and then I'm going over and blending over the whole thing with a light yellow. I think this is Y21. Now you could do better blending if you wanted to, but this works for me. The last step is I went in with that medium color again, the Y38, and just added a little bit more blending and we're done. Now you could use regular markers, color pencils, chalks, anything you want to add color to this. It really doesn't matter at all. Now I'm going in with a light green. This is my favorite YG23, quickly adding tons of color all over all of the stems. Now this is the lighter of the colors. This time I decided to start with the light color first, I'm not sure why, and then move on to the darker color, which is YG17. I use this color probably more than any other Copic. And I'm just adding some shading towards the center and then at the base of some of the leaves, just to give it a little bit of depth, because otherwise I think those leaves kind of run into each other. I think it'd be really fun to do this die with watercolor paper and then add inks and some water to the top of the die cut. I think it'd just be beautiful. On the last card, I left the sides white because I wanted that white showing through the side. This time I decided to color it with my markers so that the die cut is completely covered, even the layered sides. It's totally up to you if you wanted to do that. Now I wanted to show you how I created this kind of dome look, this shiny look with the shimmer underneath. I've done this in videos before, but I think this one demonstrates it better because there's some big areas on this die cut. So I'm just going through with my Wink of Stella glitter pen. You could use any kind of glitter pen you want. And I'm covering all of the color on this die cut. And you can see the shimmer kind of here in the video. It's kind of hard to capture in a video. But we're going to intensify that shimmer by adding a thick layer of glossy accents over everything. And since I'm putting these glossy accents on pretty thick here, it'll kind of dome up and give a really unique look to this otherwise flat die cut. Now I don't know what it is about the glossy accents on top of the Wink of Stella, but it really makes it stand out more and you see the shimmer even more. It's just gorgeous. So that's just another fun way that you can take an intricate die cut and add some life to it. I also wanted to mention that you should check out the Memory Box website. They did a card that was very similar to this design with this same die cut, and it's just gorgeous. And I asked Dave over at Memory Box if it would be okay for me to do these cards inspired by it, and he said to go for it. So be sure to check out the Memory Box website also, and I'll have links for that below. If you're interested in any of the products, they're in the YouTube description below with links so you can find them. Also, you can go to my blog at jennifermcguireinc.com for much more. Thanks so much for stopping by.